Today we're going to be looking at the range function, and what the range function basically does is it returns elements that can be used in iteration. These elements are the same as the type of elements that are returned in like a tuple or a set or a list data type. And a range function can take three different arguments. Now, when it's all three arguments, it would be start number, and then the end number, and then the step number. But it can also only take one element, and when there's only one argument given, it is always the end value. And what the range value does is that it will increment across until it comes to right before that end number. For example, what we have on the screen right now, where it says for x in range 10, print x. So that's going to cycle through from 0 until 9 and print each one of those. And that's going to look like this. Now notice that it starts at 0 and goes all the way down to 9. Now, if a range is not given any other parameters, it will always start at 0 and it goes all the way up to the number that it has been given. Now, if you want to, you can start with a different number, as we are going to do here, where we're going to start with the number 1 and go all the way up to right before 10, and it looks like this when it executes. Notice that it starts at 1 and goes all the way down to 9. And that is using the starting point, the starting number. So range 1, 10. You can also increment in a different with a different value other than 1. For example, we're going to increment by 3 in this example. And when we execute that, it looks like this. Notice that it starts at 0, then goes to 3, then goes to 6, and then goes to 9. Now you can use the range function just to execute a statement a number of times, as we're doing here. For printed in range 5, printing 5 times. And that looks like this. Notice that we have printing 5 times on the screen here, because we have used the range that way. Now you can also use the range as we are doing it here in a test situation, where we have a value that we are testing if it's within a particular range. And we are creating a variable here, test it, and we just so happen to have it set for 10. But it is testing if it's within the range of below 5, then we're going to print what we've got there. Or we're testing to see if it's in the range between 5 and 10, or then we're going to print what we got here. Or say print out of range, and that looks like this. And of course 10 is out of the range because the end number is not in the range. Now we could have done this same exact test by giving a list and comparing that value to the particular list. However, the list is going to be a situation that uses a lot more memory. And the reason being is is that a range is just basically a method, but the list has data points set for everything that it could possibly be. Now, I'm going to demonstrate how this is going to basically work. You see where the range is just returned as a range and takes up a lot less memory, and the list has all of those data points, and it's as the thing you're testing for. If it grows to any great number, like for example, if you were testing if for ranges that were going from 0 to 10,000, and you had ranges within 10,000, and you were going to use a list, you would have to have 10,000 data points that you were testing against. Whereas if you just did it in the range, you would only have a thing for each one of the ranges you were testing for.